Alright lads, welcome back to the Inside Minecraft podcast. We are on a bit of a roll now. We have had back to back, I don't know how many backs podcasts, but we are uploading weekly now. I always say we because I'm so used to having a co-host, but it's only me nowadays, which is kind of sad. However, what makes up for that is it's not only me just talking to you guys, I do have a guest, and once again this week we are back with another content creator, artist, yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I'll let them introduce themselves anyways. Welcome, Shrewba.
Hello. Hi. Wonderful to be here.
How are you today?
Oh wow, I'm doing incredible. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I've been good, thank you. I remember, just literally before we went recording, I asked, you've been excited for the podcast? You're shaking even.
Yeah, I'm shaking a little bit.
Why?
I'm not nervous.
Why?
I'm just shaking.
You're just excited.
I think it's raw excitement. I think I'm just pumped up.
Honestly, fair enough. For anyone who doesn't know who Shrewba is, and this isn't to say that no one knows you, Shrewba. Obviously, everyone absolutely adores you.
Everybody, yeah.
Shrewba is a smaller creator. I only really got introduced to them, through O-Tier. Someone I mentioned on the Crubs podcast, because that's the community that Shrewba is a part of, is Crubs kind of community. So they're a bit of a smaller creator, and they are the most wholesome person you'd meet. And finally, I'll answer the question now that you're on the podcast. It might have changed by now when this podcast comes out, but who knows? Shrewba is the person in my profile picture.
Yeah, that's me.
So, very handsome, and I can say that.
Thank you.
But I'll let you introduce yourself anyways. I'm not going to do it for you. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. My name is Shrew. You can call me Shrew if you like, whatever you feel comfortable with. I am an artist, aspiring graphic design, but we'll get there. That's in the works. I stream Minecraft quite a lot of the time. I am pretty chill. I'm pretty fun. Not much going for me other than I am very creative. My mind drifts sometimes. I'm very very creative. I have a lot of ideas in my head. So yeah. I guess streaming is one of those big outlets for me. It's nice to be able to express myself in a way that's not face to face.
Fair enough. And you actually drew some. I guess it is fan art. You drew some fan art for my birthday of us pointing at each other, and then the.
I did, yeah. It's like the Spider-Man meme.
The Spider-Man meme, but it was actually us because we're twins apparently.
We are. We are exactly the same person.
Even though we look nothing alike, but we could be what do you call it? Twins. I can't remember the name for the ones that don't look alike. Them kind of ones.
We're just those ones, yeah.
Yeah, we're just those
they
twins.
All know.
But yeah, so this is going to be a slightly more interesting podcast because obviously you do a bit of Minecraft, but we wouldn't really say your whole personality is about Minecraft. A bit like Crubs, we at the time of recording this, that podcast isn't actually out yet. It's coming out this week because I always record a week in advance. But with that, like, it kind of we didn't really talk too much about Minecraft for a podcast called Inside Minecraft. But we'll talk a bit about it. And you're still a Minecraft content creator, so I guess it kind of works.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, have you got any more introductions for yourself? Any selling points, or should we get into the main part?
Selling points. Oh goodness, you put me on the spot here. I am wholesome. That's my whole thing.
The nicest person you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And the most handsome.
I do try.
Don't worry.
No. And I can't take compliments, apparently.
This podcast isn't going to be me flirting with you, but I am going to give you a good few compliments just because it's funny.
I hope not.
Don't worry, it's good.
Okay, wonderful.
Alright, so I like to do a little bit of a format with the podcast. It's become a bit of a common trend and it seems to work. So I start with talking about your past, we move on to the present, and then we move on to the future. And then we actually do have a Twitter question. It's a bit of a crap one, but it's been a few weeks since we've had a Twitter question, so I kind of want to ask you it. But
okay.
For the first segment, let's talk about your past, Shrewba. And we're not going to deep dive into it. I'm not going to ask you what happened when you were younger or whatever, none of that. It's about you online, that kind of thing. So, first question, and I love to ask every single person this, and actually with your name, I am really, really interested. Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Okay, well that's an interesting question because I have not been Shrew forever. I actually had a channel before this one, which is kind of interesting. It was just like a little test when I was messing around with some friends, and back then I was called Shoe, like the thing you put on your foot. As simple as that. My name was Shu, and it got to a point where I felt so stuck with my Twitch, and I just went, hey, we need to spice it up. And I had a good look around the house and trying to just pull some inspiration from anywhere. And the same day that I was looking for some Twitch inspiration, we had a family of shrews run through my dad's house, so we had to get the dustpan and brush and kind of scoop them out. And I was thinking, I really like this creature. It's silly. Not many people have actually heard of them.
What is a shrew? What, I haven't heard
shrew.
of it. What is a shrew?
It's a little insectivoid. Yeah, you're really testing me now because it's my name and I have to know. But yeah, it's a little insectivoid. So insectivore even. So they like to eat insects. It's kind of like a mouse, but they have a very, very long snout. And I thought this was very adorable. And my whole thing is about being adorable. So yeah. No second thought. Just this little creature in my dad's house.
So
that's my name.
Were you thinking of sheep at the time, or was it the Ba?
I mean, we live around sheep. It could be. I didn't really think too far into it. It was kind of just like a nice ending term to tie it all together. You know what I mean? Like a little noise, like a satisfying noise. The ba 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 ba.
It's like with the doubles, like the double Z at the end of my name. Like there's a reason behind it, but there wasn't a reason. There's a reason behind that double Z, but there's no reason for the double Z. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Double Z. I'm British. It's just easier to say Z.
Exactly.
Yeah. So okay. So you had a thing. So with Twitch at the time then. So your old Twitch name used to be Shu.
Yes, it did.
How did you get the name Shu? Did it have numbers at the end?
Shu? No numbers. No. That was very, very. I used two U's, so it was SHUU. So it was like the thing you put on your foot, but it was spelled a bit differently. And I honestly, to this day, I don't know how I got that username.
No, I thought you had the name like SHOE. I was about to say.
Oh yeah, that would have been quite lucky.
Why would you ever change your name if your name's Shu and you got that name?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's SHOE.
I mean, Shrewba's one of those names. I've had people come to me and say, "How have you secured that name?" It's like it's not a word you'd use, but it's like quite a generic name. I don't need numbers or.
I think it's a cool name though. I think Shrewba. I don't know. It's just one of those names that you kind of see in tournaments and stuff. Like, do you know when how there's like Smage in 1995? I don't know. Give me those kind of vibes. Are you Smager, Shrew? Are you Smager?
Maybe. I couldn't tell you if I was.
No, I know for sure you're not. Okay, so with that, now let's talk about your skin inspiration, because obviously you show your face. Why actually? Okay, I guess before we talk about the skin, why like do you show your face online? Like how are you? Because I kind of, people know what I look like. I've sent pictures of what I look like to people, and then I delete it, so it's not saved in the chat in case Discord beats Discord. But like, what is?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, what's the deal with you showing your face? Obviously not a bad thing, but it's just I'm just curious why you do it.
Yeah. I again, I think that was spirit of the moment. I had a webcam. I did initially try using a PNG tuber because I felt a bit out there, you know what I mean? Like it was quite
Can be a bit overwhelming.
It was quite a lot to I just didn't know what direction I wanted to take my channel, so I kind of closed it off for a bit, left it out, went, hey, it can be incorporated later kind of thing. And now I just find it's easier to get my point across, if that makes sense. It's much easier to connect to my audience and receive fan art and receive compliments and all these wonderful little trinkets that come with having a camera. And yeah, I think it's mostly just down to testing, just me putting myself through all these different methods and going, yeah, honestly, while I do understand and respect people not wanting to use a camera, it just works for me. So
yeah. I'm quite fortunate because my PNG tuber like actually looks very much like me, like it actually does. Not really nowadays because my hair's really, really long, but with the whole like design of it, the hoodie, and obviously without the face mask, it does look like literally like me. So a lot of people can kind of base on that PNG tuber like fan art wise. For instance, like you knew to kind of draw me like that style in your own style, which we'll talk about later on anyways.
Yeah,
but it looked a bit like you kind of thing. Or like it looked like me, and you kind of could base fan art on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I suppose that is fortunate. I guess for me it was a little bit tricky, and I suppose that's kind of why I turned and swapped to using a camera, because as Shrew, I kind of needed to keep the brand going and make my character a little more animal-like. So yeah, I suppose it allows me to keep my Shrew brand while also being a curly-haired, glasses-wearing guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. All right, so with that and your face being out there, like I said, my PNG tube art is very much like how I look, so I kind of get away with that, luckily. I mean, if you did you were your PNG tuber that you designed, did it look like you, or did it look like a Shrewba animal, or like a shrew animal? Sorry.
It looked like a shrew. I did dabble in designing a character that looked like me, but it just didn't feel like it felt a bit of it felt like kind of stuck halfway, if that makes sense. Like I had the capacity to use a camera, but I wasn't. And yeah, I just felt it was the best way to go, really. I obviously I do art myself, so making a PNG tuber wasn't an issue, but I found it just allowed me to connect to my audience the way I wanted to. So
Shrew with curly hair and glasses. I mean, that could have worked.
that's the way.
Yeah.
I've got a few designs in the works at the moment, so who
I'd be
knows? Maybe in the
interested to see
future.
it. I mean, so do you want to keep showing your face online? Because obviously you still stream with a face cam. Is that going to become like a common occurrence
Yeah,
on your channel?
I don't think it's going to be something that's going to go away anytime soon, but I would like to experiment. I definitely like to do a bit of back and forth kind of.
Well, PNG tuber is also really good because if you're like having an off day, because I've seen like people do it before, they have a PNG tuber because if they're on an off day and they don't really want to show their face, they can just put the PNG tuber on the
Absolutely.
screen. Or if they have an alt account they stream on, well, obviously, well, I wouldn't say. I mean, I stream on my alt sometimes when I'm bored, but like that's because I stream consistently. Well, almost dead. I didn't stream today. But I kind of idea if you get what I mean. So
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So with that being said, then back to what I was originally going to say before I kind of cut myself off. So my PNG tuber looks like me. My skin also looks like my PNG tuber. It's a guy wearing give or take the same clothes I'd wear. I wear cargo trousers. I'm wearing black cargo trousers. Even though I wear grey ones, but it doesn't matter. And then obviously like some kind of armor thing, which I wouldn't really wear, but it just looks cool. Your skin, however. What what is
My
your skin?
Oh wow, that's this is a very good question. I wanted simplicity, as you can probably tell. It's a brown blob and it's got two eyes and a little nose, and that is a nose. I will have everyone know actually, because I've had a few people come and say that it looks like a mouth, but in canon, in lore, this is a nose. Okay, people, these two pink pixels. But yeah, I based it off a mouse, and I initially wanted to go for that long snout design, and I felt it just didn't feel like me, if that makes sense. Like I wanted it to feel a little more impressionable, a little more human. And having people come to me and say, "Hey, wait, so Shrew is an actual creature? Like that's the thing that already
Yeah, I didn't know
exists."
Shrew was real.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know, and there are hundreds of them. Like
I
they're
don't
in the
think
UK.
I'd be
They're all
surprised.
over.
I don't think I'd be surprised. I don't think anyone knows what
okay.
that bloody is.
That's fair enough.
You're too
But,
posh,
yeah.
Shrewba. You're too posh.
Oh, just a little bit, a tad bit.
That's a
But,
mouth,
yeah,
by the way. That is a mouth.
Yeah, fair enough. Whatever, fine. But yeah, I took a look at the creature and I thought, I mean, considering the lack of knowledge on the creature anyway, I kind of have a little bit of creative freedom, so I whipped that up. And I found with my designs, it went less and less detailed as I went. It was like the less detail I added, the more I felt like I could relate to it, and it would be a great representation for my channel. So yeah.
Honestly, fair enough. And it kind of opens up the idea of like to make maybe a PNG tuber based on your skin as well, if
Exactly.
that's what you feel like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I thought like you would have made your skin look a bit more like you, because that's what most people do. And I mean, actually, not really everyone, but some people have a skin and they make like they show their face and they have their skin kind of look like them. So I was just kind of curious
Yeah.
as to why you didn't go for that approach. But that makes sense. Honestly, that's fair. So we've talked about your name on Minecraft. So your name Shu. Did you used to stream Minecraft when you had the name Shu, or did you stream?
I did, yes.
So you've
Some of
always
my-
so you've always been a Minecraft creator. You haven't done anything.
I have, yeah. I've always been a Minecraft streamer.
So how did you get into playing Minecraft, and why Minecraft?
That is a very good question. It started quite a while ago. It much farther back than I can tell you, but I did initially play Pocket Edition, so it was like quite, it was an ease into it, and I streamed Bedrock for as long as I remember on this Shoe channel, and
Okay.
I feel like that was kind of one of the parts moving from Bedrock to Java that made becoming Shrew feel so good in a way. Do you know what I mean? It was new. It was also new to me. I felt like I could leave behind everything I didn't like about the old channel and make this brand new direction, new game, new me kind of branding.
That's fair. That's fair. So you're very much like me then. Maybe we are twins. Other than the Pocket Edition thing, obviously,
Maybe.
I'm not sure if you're aware. I've only been in this community, or the Java community, for 2 months now. I only started streaming Java 2 months ago. Like properly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I used to be a Bedrock creator. I mean, I guess I still am referred to as Bedrock creator, but people kind of picked on quite quickly, or like latched on quite quickly to the idea of me being a Java creator, which is really, really cool. But
Yeah.
obviously I streamed Bedrock for as long as I can remember. And I kind of like you, well, rather than leaving a whole channel behind, 'cause I haven't really done that. My main channel is kind of dead. I only focus on that. The podcast ain't doing amazing right now, but I am obviously full prioritizing this right now. So I'm determined for it to do well, Shrewba, and you're gonna help me get there.
As you should be. Yeah, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna do it.
So what's it called? So I can relate, however, to the idea of like not leaving everything behind, but feeling better about moving to Java. Because like I did a Bedrock stream the other day, and the way I was on that stream was so bad, and I got stream sniped and just like abused so bad from Bedrock players on that stream, and that I handed in my like resignation, or whatever you call it. I decided to leave the Galaxy partner program because they didn't do anything. I'm not going to get into like I don't cause drama on your podcast, of course, but my point is like the staff just didn't really do anything about the people. So that I was like, okay, I'm leaving Bedrock behind for good. I still have my Hive partner rank because I worked so hard for it, but like other little servers like Galaxy and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a partner on your server anymore because I'm not going to stream your server. I'm not streaming Bedrock Edition, so I can kind of relate to the whole moving on thing. So why did you move to Java?
I gave it a go. I didn't actually like it at first, I'll be honest. It felt so different from Bedrock, and I think it was that being reluctant to change something that I'd played for so long, if that makes sense. But I got a PC about 2 years ago now, so it wasn't immediate. But in September of last year, I got into Java and I got my new name. That's when I changed to Shrew, and since then that's been me. I've been a Java streamer since then, and it feels weird.
Wait, how long ago did you say? Sorry.
Just last September.
Oh, so you haven't been here long either.
Yeah, it's not a ridiculous amount of time, but it's already got to the point that it feels like a bit silly to say, hey, I was like a Bedrock streamer back before September. So
I feel like that after 2 months, so don't worry, I can relate once again. Did you stream like Bedrock servers and stuff, or no?
It was a bit of both. I did some servers. I made a realm at some point, so I was playing with friends and other streamers I'd met. So it was early days what I'm doing now. Basically, it was Spirit of the Moment, but mostly on Minecraft. And yeah, I guess it's still the same but different, if that makes any sense at all. It felt very different and weird coming to a new game, but all that knowledge and everything I learned from both streaming and playing the game made all the difference moving to Java.
Were you ever in the Hive community then? Because I assume not, because I had no clue who you was. You were?
I was. I had my time in Hive. It was quite a while ago, but yeah, I did have my time, and I'd try and get to the top of the leaderboards whenever I could. So it was, yeah.
You don't see like any mutual servers of Hive creators for me, or even the Hive Discord itself. Like I never ever crossed paths with you.
Fair enough. I might be in one of them, like on an alt or something. I'll have to find out. That could be interesting to know.
I'm actually curious. I mean, who knows? Maybe you're one of the people who stream snipes me, and I actually hate your guts.
Oh God, maybe.
Maybe. Oh God, if that comes out, I forgive you, Shrewba. I fully forgive you if that's the case.
Oh wow.
You can be honest with me if you used to stream snipe me. Did you, Shrewba?
I'm honoured.
Shrewba, did you?
No. I have standards. I have standards, Orbit.
Is this all a persona? You was actually like a really, really toxic like Hive player with the name like XS.
You see.
I mean, Shrew. To be fair, Shrew SHUU is a bit of a sweaty name.
It is a little bit. It's quite out of character for me, but yeah.
Okay, well, I forgive you anyway, Shrew. If this is all an act. You're actually not this nice. You're really bad.
That's the only reason I came here. Really, I really needed to seek some clarity with you. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been the Inside Minecraft. Fair enough, honestly. I never who knows? I still get like a few Bedrock listeners. I've on Twitch. I've made like a whole new community. Only like 1 to 4 max Bedrock players still watch me. As for now, anyways, because they're all American. They're all American. So maybe during summer I might get some of the audience back, or I'm gonna get a shit ton of people in my chat like, oh, do you still stream Bedrock? I'll go stream Bedrock, and it's just like, But for the listeners from Bedrock, you might know who Shrewba is then. Maybe you recognize the voice, maybe you recognize the whole persona. I don't know. Have you had this skin for ages? I guess did you make the new skin when you became Shrewba?
I did, yeah. September it all swapped over. It was all in one instant, yeah.
Oh, so you used to have a try-hard skin then, didn't you, for sure, huh?
I didn't. You were saying about having a skin that looks like me. That's what I was back then. That was my branding.
No, and then you changed it all to be the rule, to be one with the Shrew.
Absolutely.
So when you say you play Minecraft Pocket Edition, was that like mobile Pocket?
I started on mobile for a good few months, and then when I got my PC, I swapped over to the Windows version. So it was all Bedrock for quite a while, quite a few years streaming on Bedrock.
can't believe we never crossed paths, especially if you were streaming
No,
the
nor can
Hive.
I. It's kind of it's breaking my mind a little bit.
Well, because I used to go and look for like smaller Hive creators. There's a good few. Like, there's this, can I say names? I don't want to promote anyone without your permission here, Shrewba.
That's absolutely
It's
fine.
your
No, go for
podcast,
it.
of course. Okay, so there's like people
I
like
might recognize some of them.
but maybe not. There's PKP Nasu. I met them and I introduced him to the community. I don't really talk to him anymore. GM19, I got into the community. Oh, I didn't really get into the community, but apparently I was like one of the first Hive videos he watched. Officio, I got into the community. There's like another like 2 or 3 more people who I got involved like in the Hive community, which is really cool. Like I found them when they were a smaller streamer and kind of brought them in, and they met everyone there, which was really cool. But I used to go through Twitch. I used to look for people streaming Hive or whatever, and I used to contact them, but like, oh, like cool, this is really sick. And then but I never crossed paths with you. I guess, to be fair, I always used to look in the mornings of GMT or like the afternoons. I never really looked at night, and you streamed quite late for me, like 9 p.m. I wouldn't have been searching at that time because I would have been live myself. But
Very true.
and at that time, I never used to raid random people. I raid like a different person nearly every single stream now. So times have changed a little bit. But yeah, that's fair enough. So you never played the Xbox 360 edition then? You missed out.
I did.
Oh,
I had it, but it would. It's like that weird bubble in my brain that I can't seem to find. I owned it and I have quite a few hours in Minecraft, but it doesn't bring me as much nostalgia as it does most people.
It feels a bit like a fever dream today. I guess
it does. Yeah, it feels really weird. But yeah, I was playing back then. Yeah,
because Krabs played it. Because Krabs played the Xbox 360 edition as well, and I also played the Xbox 360 edition. Not so much, but I remember there's actually a fun fact, and I've never told anyone this before, so this is exclusive to the podcast. I might say on stream now that I've mentioned it here. One of my mates has a he used to make videos. I think he's younger than me. He's like 2 years younger than me. One of my neighbors. That's it. I should say even. He has a clip that's still on YouTube, and the background footage is of him standing in the survival games starting lobby. So whenever I want to go, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I can probably find it. So when there's nostalgia, and I'm really feeling nostalgic, I'll kind of hunt the video down and go and give it a watch. So that shows that I used to play. I used to even play it with my neighbors. He wasn't very good at it, but I've always been a bit of a Minecraft gamer, if you must.
Yeah, I feel the same there. I reckon it's a good part to do with not streaming and being quite as present online back then, I'd say. But yeah, I was there for the dawn of Minecraft. I just I guess it wasn't as big a part of my life back then. It didn't resonate as much because it wasn't building community. It wasn't as meaningful. It was just a game.
That's fair enough. Okay, so with that all being said then, and talking about your past, Shrewba, let's swiftly transition into talking about the present. So Shrewba, 19 years of age, a 19. Minecraft streamer.
19 whole years.
Very good friends with Insane Orbits. You're on the Insane Orbits podcast.
Yeah, we're like 2 peas in a pod at this point.
So this is where we move away from talking about Minecraft. This is the part of the Inside Minecraft podcast. Here is more. I was about to say Inside Shrewba, but that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does just a little bit.
Doesn't sound. We don't want to go inside Shrewba, do we? No. All right. Let's talk about you being an artist.
Me being an artist.
So I was gonna talk about your new SMP, but it's relatively new, so there's not really too much to talk about. So I think we might leave that, and if you ever come back on in the future, we can talk about it then. I have a plan for a podcast I want to pitch to you in the future. So we'll talk about that afterwards.
Interesting.
But yeah, so you are a I'd rather call you an artist than a graphics designer. I'm sure you're very good at graphic design, but I prefer to call you an artist, if that's okay. Or what would you rather me call you?
That is absolutely fine. An artist is probably what I fit into best. Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been doing drawing art for?
Well, drawing is one of those passions that has become much more than a passion for me. It is an outlet. It is what I do to communicate sometimes. I have a diary and I don't write notes in there because I find sometimes when I'm feeling a certain way, it's really difficult to express that in words and get words across. So I have a diary full of lots of pictures of how I'm feeling and things that are running through my mind. And so in everyday practice, it's there. I did my GCSE, my A level in art, so that was it became a big part of my education as well as my
I was gonna ask,
day-to-day.
So you said so you said you did art for GCSEs and A level.
GCSE and A level.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I
both.
combined it a bit. Okay.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, both. I felt a bit restricted doing it in education, if that made sense. I felt like the more I pushed myself outside of an education, I would just find out more about my capabilities, and I'd be a bit more inclined to experiment and feel good about my art. But yeah, I breezed through it. My art A level was probably one of the most thoughtful projects I've ever made, because I delved into the realm of and the concept of Chromesthesia, which is it's a condition that I have. It's a very weird one. It's quite difficult to describe, but it's the pairing of two of my senses. So when I hear a sound, when I hear a sound enter my ear, I see a flash of color in my vision. And to try and tell someone that without sounding utterly crazy is it's quite a task. So my project was to paint a huge canvas, and I would go to different parts of the school or different parts of my life, and I would paint all the colors I heard, and that meaningfulness, the message behind it, having figured out that I had this condition in this year. You know what I mean? It was like it was a new thing to me.
Oh, cool.
Because until then, I don't really understand how I got to that point without realizing it. But I guess because of my association with things like music and things like sound, anyway, I just kind of brushed past it. I thought it was like hey, everyone does this. It's just like an association thing. But yeah, a big one that I got
do
to
want to
explore
talk
in that
about
year.
that. But we will talk about this condition and stuff, because I've always mentioned to you. Because now that you've said that, I do want to talk about that a bit more, if that's okay with you.
Awesome. That's fine.
But amazing, by the way, amazing how you've done that.
Thank you.
But we'll talk about
Yeah.
that more like in a second, just because I want to I don't want to mix too much, because I don't want to confuse the both of us, if that makes sense. It's very
That's
much I
fine.
like to
You
keep
take
stuff like.
No worries.
So back to the art things. I do have questions, by the way, about what you've just said, and I normally do build on questions. It's not just like me asking questions, you answer, I ask a new question. But I am gonna ask those
Wonderful.
questions in a minute, just so like I mentioned, so we don't confuse ourselves here. But back to the idea of the art then. So did that pass your exam?
That did. I got into the University of, and I went to go and study animation, which is quite a big one for me, because it was only the end of being in high school that I even discovered I had a passion for it. It was definitely in there because I watched a lot of cartoons, and I'm a very expressive person, if that makes sense. So animation was always there, but yeah, that's when it kind of kicked off for me.
Do you know
And
what's
since then I have actually dropped out of uni, so it's quite it's all up in the air. But I'd say my passion for art never dissolved. It was always there.
So it's a fun fact actually. So the person who used to make my old thumbnails, he made my banner. He didn't make my profile picture. Someone else made my profile picture, but he made everything. His name was Joe, and he used to do like graphic design. That's it, really. And he has said to me that him doing all those designs for me is the reason. Like he's gone big time now, Joe. In the 3 years I've known him, he has gone from like small, just making banners stuff, to like really, really big time. And
that makes sense.
And he was saying to me that like I am the one who pushed him, because he was like, he's about the same age as me, and I'm 20. So he was like going into college and university, and apparently doing those designs for me is what made him decide. I could be wrong. He could fact check me here, but I'm pretty sure he said this. Is that I was one that like who kind of pushed him to decide what he wanted to do, and now like that's his passion. With you, how you kind of changed from art to graphic design last minute.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was the reason for him doing that one. So that's good. So with art, then everyone has their own style. There's someone in my Discord. I don't know if you've seen the fan art channel, Shrewba. Your images in the fan art channel. There's all these. I mean, the main people who do it is, well, you've done one, but the main people who do is Salad and Inko. They're amazing. You're amazing as well. I actually need to give you the artist role. I forget. So with that, where did your art style come from? Is there a reason behind that?
Wow.
I never really know if people have a reason for their art style, if they kind of just do
that's
it.
a very deep question, but I will give it a go. I have always, whenever I think for me, when I push to make anything mine, when I push to add my own touch to things, I make sure I am taking apart the things that have the most influence on my life. So I would watch a lot of cartoons. Instead of just watching them and absorbing it, I would pick apart what makes it feel so magical to me. And so all of my favorite Disney films and all my favorite cartoon TV shows, they all kind of influence this silly really mishmash style that I have today. It's insane. I have changed so much through the years. I used to do quite a lot of realism, so there's a lot of difference in my style today since then. But yeah, I would say it's very much so influenced by all the cartoons and all the movies, all the specifically the animated ones, the Disney ones, the hand drawn ones, because I guess I've just always felt connected to them in a weird way. It's like it just draws me in.
There's this one book I read back in the day. I can't remember the name of it for life. And I don't understand, and I cannot explain to you why your art style reminds me of this, but I'm looking back at that picture now that you made of us two looking at each other. I don't know if this book rings any bells, but it's a book about a man who went into what do you call it? The house things, you know what I'm on about. The bed and breakfast, right? And the bed and breakfast was like run by this lady. It was really dodgy, and apparently everyone who had signed out had never signed out. Long story short, I can't really remember why, but like I think I watched like a little mini animation version of it, and it was apparently like she was like eating the guests or whatever. She'd trap them and turn them into dolls.
Oh, wow.
That was it. She'd turn them into dolls. It was made up. It wasn't a real story. She'd like
that story sounds very up my street.
She'd trap them in the bed and breakfast, and she'd turn them all into dolls, and then she tried doing it to this guy, and then he escaped, kind of thing. I don't know why I associate your drawing style to that, because I must have watched like an anime. I must have watched like a version of it, and I think there was like an animation version of it, and your art style like very much resembles it. If anyone knows what I'm on about, please do let me know, because I sound psychotic here, but I know it's real and it's not a fever dream because I watched it in primary school. But your art style's amazing. You're very talented.
Yeah, well, I work a lot with shapes. I think my main concept, my main focus is find shapes, which is a lot, it's kind of a crucial point in most modern day art routines, but I think for me, exaggeration is key. I love taking things that don't exist and making them exist, and defying all the laws of what you can and can't do in art, because I see it as an outlet. I don't see it as a checklist or a rule book of things that you have to abide by to make good art. I see what I like, and I know what I like, and I can piece it, and I can pull it apart, and I can recreate it, and that's what formed my style.
Have you ever thought about getting into animation, maybe making an animation? Because it is like, even looking at your profile picture right now, it is very, very cartoony. Like, it would make a great cartoon.
Yeah, I've dabbled in animation, and I feel like the way things are going, I'm gonna have to try something. But until I put a considerable amount of time and effort into it, it's gonna be one of those passion projects opposed to something I would pursue, I think.
Because you could make a cartoon about your condition.
I absolutely could. I've been thinking about that ever since I did the project in high school. You've
explained, because you said about how people can't really understand it, and they kind of might think you're crazy and you find it hard to explain. So why not explain it for an animation and use you as it? That'd be so cool, Shrewba. That'd be so sick, honestly.
It would.
And I've really enjoyed this podcast so far, by the way. It's been like a nice, like, calm one. It's a bit more calm and vibey. It feels like we're more just on a VC rather than a podcast right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you've been enjoying it.
I have, yes.
So in regards to commissions and stuff, you do commissions. You're open for commissions if anyone wants your style. Am I correct? So I obviously don't want to know how much you charge or anything. I don't want to know how much money you've made from it. I just want to know, do you get like a lot of commissions, or has it been a bit quiet
at the moment?
Recently?
No, because I'm quite new to commissions, actually. I've started relatively recently, and so my portfolio is quite it's not limited, but it's very me, you know what I mean? It's me tailored, and not necessarily my outsiders work. Yeah, so we're getting there. Every day I find more and more people interested, but I find difficulty with that, actually. I find it's been quite a struggle to get into it, as opposed to already having a ground, if that makes sense, to stand on. It's quite tricky to kind of get yourself out there, if that makes sense, in a way that people see it.
Have you asked other people on their advice? Because you're friends with Ota, and I know Ota gets. I've actually commissioned Ota for something right now. So have you asked them like how they do it, and like maybe ask for advice on it?
I have. I've broke it down. I definitely need to do a lot more research than I have, but I'm getting there. By the day, I am finding more and more places I can promote, and just in the commissions I've got from my friends and my peers and my Twitch viewers alone has kept me going in the time being. So it's all going to add up, and it's all going to create my portfolio eventually. So yeah.
You are very talented and you deserve it. And obviously,
Yeah.
we'll promote you at the end of the podcast. But Shrewba was announced on the Inside Minecraft Twitter. So if you want to go and find Shrewba, commission them, and then you know where to look. And obviously, their Twitch and stuff will be linked below. So if you catch them live, you can ask them maybe if they want to commission, or if you want to commission them for something. Sorry.
Sounds right. Perfect to me.
In regards to like your commission, have you had people outside of Minecraft, or are they made by? Because you said your viewers are friends. Would that be Minecraft players?
I have, yeah. Wherever people come from, whichever dark corner of the internet I find them, they all seem to have this weird appreciation for my silly style, which is nice. It's good. It puts my foot in the door. It's nice to know I'm appreciated for stuff like that. But yeah, I've done a few commissions for my Minecraft friends. I've done a few commissions for my real life friends and people I know in my town and the wider towns. But yeah, it's very much so early days for me in my commissions. I've found that I'm kind of still learning how it works in a sense, not necessarily the commissions themselves, but how to get a bit faster with my commissions and put just as much care into it, but be able to have the time to tweak and do those revisions and make sure people are really satisfied with what they get in the end. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've never done commissions myself. I drew a few profile pictures on stream for free once, which was just a fun little thing to do. But yeah, I don't have that kind of skill set or talent. With what you're doing now, then, do you have? This is kind of dwelling into the future, but we won't count this as the future. But I'm just curious. With art and stuff, do you have any idea what you want to do? Do you want to become a big content creator? Do you want to become a big artist? Like, what's do you know? Like, we're gonna be deep here, but I am curious.
Yeah.
If you don't have an answer for it, you don't have to answer it. By the way, just I forgot to mention before the podcast started. If there's anything you don't want to answer, please do let me know.
That's absolutely fine. It's a good question because I'm stuck in a middle ground at the moment. I just came from uni, so it's pretty tricky to have one certain path in my way, if that makes sense. One place to go. But what I know is I'd love to be a bigger content creator because I just thrive. I seem to thrive when I'm in front of a camera, when I'm in front of an audience, when I'm making people laugh, when I'm making people smile. It makes me feel more like achieved. It makes me feel good. So definitely somewhere down that route, that would be great. But then the art route, that's gonna be one to explore, 1.5 to explore. Who knows? I've got lots of routes to go down. Animation is one of them, but I did drop out of uni because animation feels like one of those things to me that it was a passion and it was something I could see myself putting time into. But having a look at the industry and how it works, it kind of just felt like I was going somewhere I didn't want to, and I didn't want to spend time investing in a path I didn't see myself in, if that makes sense.
That's understandable, yeah. So, would you think you'll stick to Minecraft then?
For the time being, yes, and hopefully I can incorporate some of my art into my Twitch as well, get that up in there, get some commissions, and yeah, see where it goes. Let the train kind of roll for a bit.
So you want to become like a big content creator, but you also want to become quite big with commissions and stuff as well, yeah?
Yeah, I'd love to have both. I'd love to have a head start in the Twitch and also some art in the background to rely on.
It wouldn't be too bad blowing up on Twitch and then using that to promote your commissions.
It wouldn't at all. No,
that
would be ideal.
So I guess moving into still the present now, what we discussed just before I went live, and now that you've mentioned it. So what is the name of the condition that you have?
The name of the condition is Chromesthesia. That is, if I can spell it, it's CHROMEST H. Here you go. Chromesthesia. It's CHROMESTHESIA. Search it up. It's quite rare. I think it's like 1 in 1,000 people have it. And like I said, it pairs 2 of my senses. It pairs my hearing and it pairs my sight. So whenever I hear a noise, I see a flash of color in my vision.
So is that every single time then that you hear a noise, you see a flash
every
of color?
sound?
So does that mean
in the dogs barking?
Does that mean that you can't drive then? Are you not allowed to drive because of that?
I haven't been told I can't, but I am pretty deterred by the idea of learning to drive anyway. So I feel like that's kind of off the table for me. Yeah.
So I have to ask. I'm sorry. Is the color the same every single time? So every single time you hear it? Oh, okay.
It's not.
So I was gonna ask, what color do you hear when you hear me talk? But if it's different every single time,
it's weird. People ask me this question, and I could probably give you an answer because there's usually one potent color, if that makes sense. One that sticks out more than the rest. And while listening, I think you're yellow, which is my favorite color for the record.
Aww.
Yeah,
that's cute.
It's more so shape, because the flashes tend to either zigzag or they'll spiral, and quite a lot of people's voices zigzag as opposed to spiraling. The spirals are kind of the waves and the wind and the calming noises, and then the more intricate ones are the zappy ones.
So my
So yeah, yellow
zigzag.
zappies.
Oh, because my favorite color is blue. I was kind of hoping that'd be blue, but yellow works.
Yeah.
Honestly. I have to rebrand to yellow, Shrewba. So with this, does it make it hard? Like, so you wear glasses as well? This doesn't sound like a strange question, but I am curious, and I guess can be a bit of a raising awareness segment, I guess. But
I guess so.
I do have an idea linked to this that, like I said, I'll mention to you off the podcast. Does wearing glasses help you with this?
I don't really see the color any differently. Like, it's not it's evidently not something that's there, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a mental thing, because and people have asked me, like, when I close my eyes, can I still see the color? And yeah, it's all there, and sometimes in my dreams I'm noticing. So it's like it's a very, like, difficult thing to describe, but quite a wonderful and unique thing that I have that I will forever cherish and celebrate.
How long so you said you only noticed it. Oh god, you said was it GCSE or A level year you mentioned?
I noticed it in GCSE.
GCSE, so that would have been about 3 years back, 2 years back.
Yeah, nearly 4 years back.
But how long, looking back on it now, do you reckon you've had this condition for?
I don't think I could say, because I have been using it to understand sound and to understand music. So, because I took music for GCSE, I took music for A level. I love music. I play the piano, I play the guitar, and I am just music has always fascinated me. Yeah,
we can link into this. Let's carry on. We can link into this.
It's the color has definitely helped, because I don't have perfect pitch. I don't have the ability to just hear it, but being able to associate a tone with a color has made it so much easier to learn these instruments. I can sit down on an instrument I've never played and learn it in a matter of minutes, because I'm just using association and using the colors that I hear on other instruments to find my way around. And it amazes me sometimes when people tell me to play a song, and they'll tell me to play a tune that I've never heard before, and I'll listen to it for a few minutes, and then I can just play it.
So it'd be like red, yellow, green, green, red, yellow, green, green, red.
Exactly.
Like that's so cool. It's like a superpower then. You're using it.
Yeah, my mum said that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always kind of heard people say, like, instead of calling it a condition, call it a superpower, and I feel like this is one of them ones where you can really call it, like, because it is cool.
Absolutely.
And like you said, like, although it's different colors, like right now you might be seeing green, like when I talk, but it's like because it's the majority yellow, you kind of just associate with, like, okay, his voice is yellow, and then like her voice is blue. Like,
it is crazy.
Another question linked to that then. So does it kind of merge the colors? Like, so for instance, so if I talk like this and I take a gap, does it reflash when I say gap, or like does the yellow kind of, or does it flash every single word, or does it kind of blend in all together?
Very, very dependent on words again. They don't last very long, and usually once a sound stops, the color stops too. So it's very much so dependent on what noises I'm hearing. But one thing I will say is, when I find I'm in a busy space or a space with a lot of different sounds and noises coming from different directions, I find it very difficult and sometimes a little bit overwhelming, because obviously having the color is a nice way to ground myself and understand, and I like to dissect it. But when there's a lot of things going on, it tends to shut me quite a lot.
So like say you're looking straight forward now. Let's just say you're looking at your monitor, okay, and you're looking at everything. When the flash happens, for like better understanding it, let's just pretend your eyes are your screen, okay? You're looking at your monitor, and that's the only thing you can see. You can't see anything around it. The monitor is your eyes right now. Does that make sense?
The monitor is my entire vision, yeah.
So you're looking at your monitor right now. Where do you see a flash?
The flash is usually around the border, so I won't see anything in the middle, in the direct line of sight, but I'll see flashes around the edges, if that makes sense.
So like top right, top middle, top left, that kind of idea?
Yeah, it doesn't obscure my vision, but it contributes on the sides. It kind of adds like a nice...
Oh yeah, Karen, sorry, my bad.
It adds a glow. It adds a nice border around it.
So when like how big is it? So let's just pretend the edge of the monitor is the edge of your eyes. How like far out would you reckon?
It's quite a small thing. It definitely, there's never been a point where I've seen it obscure my vision, if that makes sense. It doesn't get in the way. It's there, but it's not there. It's like when you see something in the corner of your eye, if that makes sense. And
does like
just like that.
When you hear multiple noises, does that, like, so say you hear one noise, so like right now there's a yellow flash in the top right, just for example. Okay.
Yep.
But then, alongside me talking, you hear a car horn go off and you hear a cat meow. Does that create 3 flashes or just the 1 flash?
3 different flashes, yeah.
So that's why it gets overwhelming when you're in a public space thing. You have like
A little
flashes
bit.
all around your eyes. Oh god, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I've got so many questions. I think it's good. I think it's good because I'm talking about you
That's
anyways.
okay.
If you close your right eye, does that change anything?
Doing it.
Like, can you
No,
still see on the
not
far?
necessarily.
Say like you
I
can
can
see
still-
on the
yeah.
far right of your monitor, and you close your right eye. You can only see half your monitor now. Yeah, just example. Can you still see on the far
Yeah.
right, or does it move far left?
Yeah, no, I can still see it on the far right. It's like when people ask me if I close my eyes and it still happens. It does. I can still see color, which is weird because it's like I can't see anything, but I can see this. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's why you should make an
It is a
animation
bit.
about it. Because imagine if you made an animation and you showed how like you saw it from your perspective, just like how we've explained here. Imagine that was an animation form. That'd be so cool.
Very true.
That'd be so cool.
I'm actually I'm quite excited for this now. It's definitely going to have to be something I do now.
You should, because I'd love learning about. I love learning about stuff all the time. Like even like I'm not sure. I don't believe you are part of the LGBT. Are you? Or no? If you're comfortable saying.
I might be. Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are.
I am. Yeah.
So can I ask what like part of the LGBT you are?
I am bi.
Oh, I
Yeah.
never knew that.
So yeah. So I'm not.
I can't even
just a
remember where
little-
was I
just a little bit of
going?
spice.
Where was I going with this question?
I don't know. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe you just wanted to know.
No, I was
angel?
going. I can't recall my thoughts. I was going somewhere with this question. I was asking about. I can't remember where I was going. What was the thing that what did I mention before I said about the LGBT community? Do you remember?
We were still talking about.
We said about this possibly an animation. Oh, that's it. I remember where I'm going now with it. Okay, so when I said about the LGBT thing, I'm very curious. I have like a friend in the new community, because in my old community there wasn't really much LGBT like content creators or anything. There's a good few now, but at the time they weren't. Most of them were closeted, etc. Now that I moved into this new community, there is so much like different like members of the LGBT community. So like with that, I'm always open to learn, and that's why I'm so like constantly asking you questions, because I'm so curious about it, because it's interesting to me, that kind of stuff. And it's good to learn. But so other than it being like overwhelming, so to be fair, you could drive. You should be able, like with like
I should.
this with this superpower, I should say. You should still be able to like drive, right? Like obviously.
Yeah, I've not read anywhere that it's not applicable when you drive, but I don't know. I feel like it would hinder you at least a little bit when you're driving. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, but like
there's a lot of noises when you're driving.
Like partially deaf people, or like deaf people can still drive and they can't hear.
Yeah,
I know that doesn't affect
suppose.
eyesight, but it still affects like hearing and stuff in the car, etc. So I mean, it'd be a bit hard, but to be fair, there's not like crazy amounts of noise, and like over time you've kind of learned to live with it a lot easier.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, it would be challenging, but not something that's impossible. No.
So alongside I'm going to keep calling it a superpower, because I want to call it a superpower. I think it's really
go for it.
cool.
It is. It's a superpower.
No, it's just how you can like learn stuff with it. You can associate like stuff with it. I just find that cool. Obviously, like I wouldn't wish the condition on anyone, because I guess like it is still.
It can be quite a burden, but it can be also definitely a blessing.
So yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I wouldn't. Yeah. I personally, I don't think I'd be able to handle it, because I stress out about stuff. But like to know that you
get
can
used
handle
to
it, like really cool. Yeah, that's what I mean. But alongside that, just before we went live, and to be fair, I noticed this the other day, you had ADHD in your Twitch tags.
Yeah.
So
both
and then
ADHD
I asked,
and ASD.
What's ASD? Because I know what ADHD
ASD is autism.
Oh, so you have autism and ADHD, and then
Yes.
you also have I can't remember the name of the condition. I'm so sorry.
Chromesthesia.
Chromesthesia. So you have all
It's a long
three.
one.
So
Yes, I do.
you said you only recently learned, or like you've known for a while, but only recently got diagnosed with ADHD. Or have I said that right?
In essence, yeah. I about 3.5 years ago, so it was quite a while ago. I was put on the waiting list to try and get diagnosed. That was recommended by one of my doctors, actually. So they saw something and they were like, "Hey, maybe it's worth giving it a check." And we initially just went for ASD. I wanted to know if I was on the spectrum, and they were like, "Yeah, well, we can diagnose you for ADHD as well. It's usually quite linked. They're usually tied together." So we did just that, and it took so long to come back. It was ridiculous. I was struggling a lot, especially in the last few years of high school. I was struggling to stay focused, and I was struggling to kind of verbalize how I felt and verbalize how I was being stressed out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice to have back then, but it was one of those things that I pushed through and I learned to control in a way. And now I have my diagnosis, which is a blessing. It is amazing to finally have a title. As much as titles usually keep me down and I don't like, being referred to as my titles, it definitely does help, and it's a positive thing. And I'm very glad I finally did get my diagnosis. is. Yeah,
It's good to have though, like not about holding you down, but like if
it
anything
is
goes wrong, you can turn around and go
absolutely.
like, I am diagnosed with ADHD. I am diagnosed with like. So if anyone like
It's yeah.
says anything, then so you were recently diagnosed with ADHD. Was you diagnosed with autism at the same time, or was autism a while
Yeah,
back?
both. I got my diagnosis for both this January, so very, very new to being diagnosed with
Oh
this stuff.
jeez.
But
New
yeah,
year, new
new year, new me.
yeah, new
Absolutely.
year, exactly. With so with that, so before your doctor said anything to you, did maybe your parents say anything, or did you think to yourself that you might have that, or like is it not very
Well,
prominent in your life? Because I know people, IRL, some of my close friends have ADHD, and you'd never know
yeah.
it. For instance, like you, there's like it's one of those things that like you either have it, and I could be completely wrong here, and I want to make this disclaimer that I could be wrong here, so I don't want to think. I feel like it's one of those ones where like you can either tell or can't tell that person has it. Does that make sense? Because like
Yeah,
it
there are
can be very
usually
either
a
like
lot
very
of
prominent or
a
not.
lot of signals, and while it's a spectrum, and there are various different layers to it, it's you can usually kind of piece it together with how you see things, how you interact with things, and I guess yes, there were signs, but no, I wasn't interested. If that makes sense, it never crossed my mind because it was just me. If that makes sense,
But
I
now
I
you
didn't
look
really
back
look.
on it.
Yeah, yeah. Now I can look back on it and see all the time because my mum and one of the stories my mum tells me all the time, and it really resonates, is when I was 4 years old, there was a toy piano, and it played it played the classic Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and all the little jingles,
Yeah.
and I could learn and play them without help, which is like crazy. You know what I mean? Like
Would that be
it's a
part of the
sign. It's
color?
there.
What did you have the color thing then? Do you remember?
Again, it's a question I can only ask and not get an answer to because it's like one of those. But I mean, I assume so. It would make sense. It would add up. But yeah, things like that, little signs.
I guess it's like one of those things. Like I read this thing on Instagram the other day, and apparently like a large percent of the population don't have an inner dialogue.
Really,
Yeah, I can't. I obviously the facts could be false. It could just be a completely false statement.
could be.
But
Yeah, but
from what
that.
I'm aware,
Wow,
apparently like a lot of people don't have an inner dialogue, and it's just one of those things like you don't realize it because
interesting.
with the colors, I can't. I
Yeah,
keep forgetting it. The superpower.
no
I'm gonna
worries.
keep forgetting it. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this
The
kind of stuff.
superpower. The superpower.
But with the superpower, did you just think maybe it was a normal thing that everyone had that?
I did,
So
yeah.
you
I
never
got to
thought to
GCSE and I
question it?
was using it for music, and I did not think to question it. I thought it was entirely association. I thought I'd just pick that up by subjecting myself to music a lot, and that was just what happened to people when they do that. So,
So you were
but
cheating
yeah,
basically. You cheated through the music as well.
basically, yeah, in a way.
Fair enough, honestly.
Yeah.
With like ADHD, autism, does that do you think it affects you as a content creator, or do you think like it doesn't make a
Ooh,
difference? Like if you
that's a
look at,
very good question.
I don't personally, my opinion, I don't think it does. I mean, like I said, that with you, I would have never known it. Then again, I also don't really know the signs of it. Maybe my mates might turn around and be like, "Oh yeah, that's what's so obvious," because they have ADHD. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But like when I've had you on the podcast now, and when I've had you on streams, and when you come on future streams, never even question the idea of it. But like I think you have the exact same capabilities, and you are no different from me.
Absolutely.
But do you think? I guess it's because it's you can say this personally. Do you think it affects you in any way? Have you ever had points where you're like,
I
yeah, that's
yeah.
that's affected me?
Yeah,
Oh.
unfortunately, I do. I don't think it separates me in any way from being a streamer. If anything, I think it helps because there's a lot of
Creativity.
thoughts and processes that I take that most people wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, I
it's a
get
whole
that.
new perspective, and that helps infinitely when it comes to streaming and interacting and being personality on the internet. But yeah, I would say one of the most restraining parts of having ADHD, I'd say, is the ability to like manage myself and like motivate myself, if that makes sense. It's not always something that I have control over, which is both hard to explain and hard to combat. So
No, it makes sense. Yeah, I don't think you need to
yeah,
explain it
keeping
because I
keeping a
understand
regular
it.
schedule is absolutely possible on most days. It's one of those things that I've really had to condition myself to be able to learn and maintain. But yeah, other than that, I'd say I'm pretty good. It's just it feels natural. It feels like I was born to do it. So yeah.
Because no one really knows about this. Once again, I think it's one of those cases that you just wouldn't be able to tell because I don't really
Yeah.
talk about it too much. It's undiagnosed, but I have severe anxiety. Not severe. I wouldn't say severe. That's a bit of a stretch actually. But I do have anxiety. It's undiagnosed, but it's very clear. In secondary school, from year 7 to year 8, I used to gag or sometimes be sick every single morning for school. When I started my first job, for the first like 2 months, I used to feel sick every single morning, get stomach aches and stuff. And even now, like with streaming, it's become a lot better. But when I first came back to streaming, I used to feel so unwell before every single stream because of the anxiety and nervousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that unless I told you, you'd never know, because I hide it really, really well. Like, obviously,
Absolutely.
like my girlfriend, she knew about it straight away, but like I hide it so well to the point where like it's just one of those things that because like for instance with you, if you didn't have ADHD or autism in your tags, I'd never know.
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of things. And maybe people can look at my streams and be like, oh yeah, I can tell you it's a bit of anxiety, but I don't think so, because I feel like I condition myself really well online.
Well, it's also a distraction, isn't it? Despite feeling anxious, you'll have it to take your mind away a bit.
Well, I guess but like with how like you said it's benefited you with the whole having an anxiety thing, like for a while I didn't really let it help me, but now I've started to let it help me in the case of like on Twitter sides I don't interact with drama. I don't feed drama on Discord. I don't do anything. I'll send a joke to someone and I'll make sure it's very clear that I never used to use tone indicators, but now when I use it and make a joke, I don't push /. I put, by the way, this is a joke, to be clear. Like, and now like I've started doing that kind of stuff, and I kind of let the anxiety kind of help me with not to cause trouble, because I'm not gonna say, but there was a few issues like I've had on Twitter throughout, and a few issues with content creators, but now with this new community I'm kind of not letting that happen, and that's mainly down to the anxiety kind of helping me, which is very nice.
I suppose that's a tool. Yeah, it's something you can use as a drive.
Exactly. I didn't realize, because this podcast went from being only 20 minutes long to we have been recording for over an hour. So
wow.
I know.
Okay.
So we're gonna move on to your future now, Shrewba, and this isn't a long section at all. It's just a simple question, and you give me an answer. It's nice and easy. Take a few minutes. Good to me. What is the future of Shrewba? Any plans?
The future of Shrewba is the present. I like it how it is. I don't want it to change. I just want it to be bigger, and I want it to be better and more of it, if that makes sense. I have taken a good look at the way I approach Twitch and things like that, and I've got analytics to guide me. So it's, in essence, wherever I feel it should go, wherever the chat want me to go. It's just more of it.
That's the same with me. I'm really happy with my viewers right now, because I've built such an amazing community and such an amazing chat. But I want it to be bigger, because obviously everyone wants to grow. No one wants to be a 13 viewer Andy for the rest of their lives. But I like my chat, and I wouldn't change my current chat for the world, but I do want my chat to increase. Is it that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, take steps to push forwards to find more a bigger audience and things like that. But in content and in who I am me. Going to stay the same.
That's good to hear. Alright, to see off the podcast then, Shrewba, because it is getting a bit late now, and I'm glad we recorded earlier than 8 PM, because it's now 8:15 PM, and I guess that's the perks of not streaming today. I do have a Twitter question for you. It's a bit of a goofy Twitter question. I like to ask serious ones, but it was the only one, and it's the only one we've had in a while, so I really wanted to get one done. It's from Vincent25, and it's, what's your favourite type of hill? And they specified that their one is with a pizza truck on top, because they like pizza.
Truck on top. Oh wow, I like that a lot. I think my favorite type of hill is the type that has one tree, just one, and a nice tree as well. One that you can sit under when it's hot. One that you can climb to get a good view. That's my favorite type of hill.
Nice. Okay, nice and simple answer, nice and easy.
Yeah.
Shrewba, this has been an amazing podcast. I'm glad. Once the podcast ends, I'll pitch the idea to you, so you viewers can stay questioning as to what the idea is. I mentioned it a few times, and Shrewba will know once the podcast ends. Before I do hit end recording though, where can we find you? Please promote yourself. Where can we find the Shrewbanator?
Find me absolutely anywhere. Shrewba. I'm Shrewba on everything at this point. I know you found my Twitter, but if you can't find me, leave me a message. I'm really nice. I don't bite too much. So.
And down below, I'll have. Do you have a YouTube, Shrewba?
I do, yeah.
I'll have Shrewba's YouTube and Twitch below, and then the rest of the stuff you can go find yourself. Alright, I don't need to promote everything. Alright,
you'll find it.
I mean, Shrewba everywhere. It's literally the name and the title. Everywhere. You just Google that anywhere, and you'll find it. It's that easy.
You will find it.
Well, Shrewba, thank you so much for being a guest today. I think it started off a bit thing, because this is your first ever podcast, if I'm correct.
It really is. Yeah.
So you started off a bit I wouldn't say anxious, but like a bit quiet, which is understandable. You're shaky, that's the one. There we go. And then you got really into it, which was really nice to see. And you spent like a massive segment talking about your superpower and stuff. So but yeah, thank you so much, Shrewba, for coming on. This was an amazing guest.
It has been amazing.
I've really enjoyed these podcasts lately. They've all been so good. But this sadly comes to an end, and this has been the Inside Minecraft podcast. Everything you need to know about Shrewba, I guess, and what Shrewba does and stuff. Commission Shrewba as well. Commission them, please. If you want anything done, turn to Shrewba. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe. Don't eat too much bread. Pieces.
Bye, guys.